If you don't have that basis, that root in gratitude, all the bad stuff's just going to compound. Trust me. You have the whole day for it all to compound on you. You have the whole day to get beat up. Let's start the day with some gratitude to where you smile, to where it makes you happy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Real Estate First Fridays. My name is Louis Fermin, Executive VP here at LPT Realty, and I am not joined today by Matt Hodge. He's actually on his family vacation this week. I know a lot of us are wrapping up our vacations, but I am going to be joined by Suneet. Welcome back, Suneet. How are you, buddy?
I am so good, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I heard you were on vacation too last week and during the Christmas break. How are you doing? And I'm glad to have you back here, man.
Oh, it was great, man. I went up to Bellevue, Washington. There was about 50 of us with a bunch of kids. Oh man, my lights are bright. Let me turn these suckers off. There was about 50 of us, 15 kids, just mayhem. It was really cool.
Oh man, and everybody made it back okay?
Yeah, I mean, besides what I told you, sick kids on the last day, but we're all good.
Yeah, it always tends to happen. Yeah, me and my family, we were able to spend last week up. It was our very first time ever doing a ski trip. We were up in the Sugar Mountains in North Carolina, and we had an amazing time. Never skied with the family before, so we spent 6 days out there. 4 of the days we skied, and it was
Oh
truly
wow.
amazing. So
I didn't
yeah.
know you guys had never skied. That's cool for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So here we are, guys. So let's start off by wishing everyone a happy New Year's. I see a lot of happy New Year's in the chat. From here, everyone in the LPT family, we want to wish all of you guys a happy New Year. And I don't know if you guys tuned in about 2 weeks ago when we last had Real Estate First Friday. Suneet had joined us, and we were wrapping up 2025 and what things we can incorporate inside of our businesses to really propel us into 2026. And a big part of today is piggybacking off of that meeting that we had. Let's use today to essentially set the stage and jumpstart the actionable items that we need to do to set the stage for 2026. As we all know, this is a very high anxiety business. It is very competitive. Competitive in that we sit in that intersection of what money, relationships, emotions, and timing. Money being this is a high stake business. One transaction has a big price tag to it. And oftentimes that
Sure.
price tag brings a lot of stresses and anxiety if things start getting murky and start getting shaky. Timing, we are always subjected to timing in this business. Once we're under contract, we're subjected to timings with inspection periods, appraisal periods, closings, satisfying all the things within due diligence period. Emotions, buying and selling houses is typically one of the highest emotions that a consumer faces when making a purchase, obviously, well and beyond purchasing any other assets, oftentimes. And then relationships. This is a relationship based business. We deal with so many different personalities, and the anxiety comes because we sit in that crossroads, right? We sit in that intersection. And being that it's competitive, some agents survive it, some agents surpass it, and some agents fumble with it. But what can we do today to ensure that we are meeting our goals and not allowing those dynamics as we go through the year intersect or intervene with what the goals we're ultimately trying to achieve? So, Suneet, I know today we're going to talk through some of these actionable items that we can take to really jumpstart 2026. So I'll hand it over to you, man.
Yes, thanks, Lewis. So, everybody, good morning. Super glad to be back. I love doing these sessions with you guys. So, just as we get started, I want to make, and I don't know if you guys were here the other day or not. I don't have the roster like that. But have you guys written down what your commitment is for production this year? If you haven't, how many houses are you selling in 2026? 2026, Lewis. I can't even believe I'm saying that.
We're,
2026.
we're saying it, man.
Yes. How many houses are you selling in 2026? And kind of by proxy, what's that mean by quarter? Whenever I do forecasting, and I'm sure Lewis may have some insight here as well, is in the real estate forecasting, I tend to give more weight to the first quarter and the fourth quarter. So I don't make it equal across the whole year. Let's face it, that's just how it goes, right? So have you written down, and I only saw one person write in the comments, have you written down how many houses you are committed to selling in 2026? Okay, great. Why is that number so important? I want you guys to feel this is one of my new favorite words, a visceral feeling as to where you really connect with it. Why is that number so important? I was doing this a couple years ago. This is kind of a rough story, guys. So I was doing this a couple years ago with some of my agents here in Sacramento, and a woman on my team talked about how many houses she was going to sell that year. I believe it was 2023, and I asked her why it was so important to her, and the reason she said was because she was in an abusive relationship physically, and she needed to sell that many houses to be able to move out on her own with her kid. That's a visceral feeling. Do you have a visceral feeling? If not, dig deeper. Dig deeper with yourself. Okay. Nicole, write down how many houses you're selling this year and why that number is important. Okay. We're going to get into some accountability here. And I have a custom GPT to share in the comments that'll make your guys' lives a little bit easier. Um, we all have these activities that we want to do more of, right? I'm sure everybody in here wants to make more calls, wants to talk to more people, go to more networking events, call expireds, whatever. And we always joke, I'm going to add it to the list. I'm going to add it to the list. And most people end up having a really long damn list. Yet what happens is life, kids are sick, like I said, travel, busyness with work, busyness with deals. So that list grows and grows. And if anything changes in your business, it's more marginal, based less on the changes that you made or even the stuff on your list, and based more on which way the wind blows, right? Based more on happenstance from the market, right? I'm not going to depend on anything else but myself to make the money that I need to make, not the market, not what's happening. So if anything changes, how much of it is due to luck? So we need accountability in our lives. We need to have an outside force that's encouraging us. Okay. And now, because this is online and I don't get to see all you guys every day, we can't do this as much as we need to. I wrote a custom GPT totally free on Chat GPT, and I'll drop it in the comments here. I'll drop it in the comments, copy link. Okay, you guys see that link? And maybe we'll send it out if you don't get it, or however we can do it, Lewis. But I want you guys to treat this as your accountability partner. All right. I want you guys to start, and your very first prompt in there, your very first thing that you say, right, to the custom GPT is how you want this year to go. And then what I try to do is not 100%, is every night I go into there and I talk to it about what happened in the day. Now, if you're sensitive, this thing's a little rough, but we need that in our lives, right? This thing brings what we like to call the hot sauce type of accountability. So make sure that you use that, okay? Just how many houses are you going to sell this year? Just and not goals. We don't talk about goals in this room. We talk about commitments, okay? Especially when it comes to business. We talk about goals and other stuff, but this is a commitment. Over the years, we've all had rough stuff happen to us. Raise your hand if you've never had anything bad happen. Let me see. That's what I thought. Okay, good. So, Lewis was talking about the stress of deals, the stress of the business. How do we keep our mind straight? Are we kind of cruising on autopilot? It's not an effective strategy. I want to have a game plan for every single day. And look, I've been an agent, I think this is my anniversary, 13, 14 years. My sixth year as an agent, I had the number one team in the state of California, a record I still hold. Number one team in the state of California, right? That led into coaching. That led into all these different opportunities, right? Because I didn't let the stuff in my mind slow me down. I didn't let the stress slow me down. So, Suneet, how do you do it? I'm going to give you my formula. I still do this, and it keeps me sane, right? And you guys may have read that book, Miracle Morning, and I like that book. And if you haven't, go ahead and get the Miracle Morning for Realtors by what's his name, Hal. I was going to say Hal Jordan, but that's the Green Lantern in DC Comics, so it's not Hal Jordan. It's Hal something. Hal Elrod. Yes, Miracle Morning. So they talk about a process in here too, in that book too. But here's my process, and I don't. It doesn't matter what process you do, Hal Elrod. Thank you, Teresa. To me, it doesn't matter like what the actual process is, as long as there is a process. Because otherwise, we're going to forget, and we're not going to move forward, and things will not be right in front of us. Okay, and that comes to it's almost a cliche thing, Lewis. It comes to a dialed in morning routine. Okay. So I'm going to share mine. I've been doing it for maybe, dude, I remember the first time I started, it was around January. I was probably all pumped up for some New Year's. It must have been 10 years ago. So I have just pages and pages and pages. So every morning, I write down three new things that I'm grateful for. It's not my kids, my pets, and my business. It's something, here's the word again, visceral, something that I can feel. Okay. Three things every morning. For example, I was telling Lewis earlier that, we had sick kids on the way home. I'm happy. I'm happy and grateful that we were able to make it home without any of my kids getting sick on the airplane. Right. Like, and look, as I say that, what happened? I smile and I can feel that moment. And that's the true thing with writing gratitude. Because as all this other stuff in the world is affecting us, as all this other stuff in the world is giving us challenges, if you don't have that basis, that root in gratitude, all the bad stuff's just going to compound. Trust me. You have the whole day for it all to compound on you. You have the whole day to get beat up. Let's start the day with some gratitude to where you smile, to where it makes you happy. And you'll notice as you're writing it down, and you can use your Apple or whatever notepad you have on your phone or a piece of paper. Don't go start spending $40 a month on some journal service, right? Like use what you have. Those journals get expensive. I got tons of them. I used to think it was worth it. Use whatever and gratitude. I like to write three things fresh every day. Next, my intentions for that day. There you go. Way to go, crew. There's the book. They're on it. They're on it.
Shout out to Dave Stewart.
Yeah, way to go, Dave. And this is based on that book. It's also based on 10X by Grant Cardone, based on Tony Robbins, based on everything. But what are my intentions for the day? How am I going to win that day? For me, it's often, be focused on calls. I have a lot of calls all day. For me, it's often eat clean that day, make sure I get my steps to work out. You know, if I have a commitment to making calls, I will put those calls in there. Okay. What's my intention for the day? How am I winning that day? How am I winning that day? And if you put these intentions down and then you go back to the custom GPT I sent to you at the end of the night and say everything that you had intended and everything that you did get done from what you intended, hopefully it's everything, go with that. Okay. Next, affirmations. I write the same affirmations every day, right? Do you give yourself any affirmations? I got mine from a book. Um, it's that dude Brandon Dawson that hangs out with Grant Cardone. I don't recall the name of that book. I'm looking for it. It's right there. But my affirmations start with how I choose to be. Okay. I choose, this is what I do every day. I choose to be a great leader, a great coach, a great founder, a great marketer, a great creator. The other one I do every day is I choose to be a great father, a great husband, a great son, a great family member, a great friend, a great neighbor, and a great citizen, right? How you choose to be for that day or every day. Next. So we talked about commitments and goals. This is where I talk about goals. I have 10 goals I write down every day. Without getting into them, it's my wealth goal, how much I'm worth. It's my income goal. And I have one, two, three, four, five businesses. So it's a goal for each one of those businesses. It's a health goal. It's a relationship goal. Next, and this one is so important to me, Lewis, and I think people don't think about it. Because when you write down goals or commitments, we just kind of do it on sometimes autopilot, right? It's just like, oh, well, I know I'm supposed to write this. I know I'm supposed to write this. But yes, Mike, nine-figure mindset. Thank you. This next part I call my manifestations. Okay. How I feel when I achieve those goals. How I feel when I achieve those goals. And once again, my favorite word of the year so far, it's only 2 days, visceral. I want you guys to feel it, have that emotional connection to those goals. Because that's the only way it's going to happen and not just be on autopilot. And I'm telling you, I've been doing this for, like I said, about a decade. My goals have been changing. Do you know why? Because I've been achieving the ones that I've been writing down and looking at every single day. And the stakes keep on going up, going up, going up. Right. I remember when my goal was to lose enough weight to get to 200 pounds. Right. I'm way past my weight goal. I'm like 160 pounds. And it's like, what do I write here now? Well, now I focus more on health. instead of, that specific weight goal. With my income goals, I remember for the longest time, I said, I want to have 20 agents on my team. Now it's many more than that. So those manifestations, I want you to feel it. How does it feel? And the last part of that is kind of my personal mantras, personal sayings that are important to me. You know, some things I write every day are, I'm unstoppable. I write that to myself every day. Something else, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Like little sayings. That list has also grown. I got about 35 of them, just to keep my mind on the things that I need to have. Volume negates luck. Just win. Fall in love with your clients. I inspire others, right? 10x. So those kind of things, because I just want to be rooted in the right thing before the madness, before the phone starts to ring, right? Before the kids are even up asking for breakfast. So this year, I could have given you some tactical motivational stuff, but this is the real thing that top performers like me do every single day to make sure we're on the right track. And like I said, as you go back, look at years past, you go, holy crap, man, I did all those things. Talk about a rewarding feeling. And the next part of this, I want you guys to really think about. I want you to write this down. Okay. This is from Marcus Aurelius, the former, or he was the emperor of Rome back in the day. He wrote a book called Meditations. Okay. If you want to really go into some deep stoicism philosophies, which a lot of this comes from, um, check out Meditations from Marcus Aurelius. It's a couple thousand-year-old book, so don't expect some riveting writing. But one of the main things in stoicism is controlling the controllables. Okay. And I know that that's been played out. You see it on social media, all this, but controlling the controllables. And there's only two things that we honestly control: our actions and our reactions, right? So if you control those things, we're talking about the emotions with this business. I do this morning routine to manage my emotions, and it's led to everything. Lewis, any thoughts or questions?
Yeah, no. So first and foremost, Suneet, thank you so much for sharing your personal specific playbook that you take each and every morning. This is actually a subject matter that's very oftentimes overlooked in our business and in really any entrepreneur type of business, where we're so focused on memorializing what our goals are, what our commitments are, what are the plans that we need to achieve or the actions that we need to take. But very oftentimes we don't go into the deep rooted why. What is that northern light that's guiding us through why we're memorializing these things? Why are we taking these specific actions? And it's so important to truthfully understand what those things are. If you look at other habits or other activities that we take, when we are passionate about doing those activities, we tend to overperform or we tend to overshine. Let's put weight loss, for example, the example that you gave. We start off the weight loss journey, we're motivated, we're understanding the whys, we're committed, our emotions, our mindsets are there, we're digging deep into that rooted level, and we are overperforming. We're going in there, we're lifting heavier weights, we're taking that extra sprint, we're going the extra mile. But then what happens over time? You tend to start fatiguing in that matter. And that
Yeah.
northern light that once guided you to start that process starts whittling away. So then it creates a dynamic where maybe you're a little less passionate about it, or you're not focused so much in terms of the why. So what tends to happen? You start plateauing. And then now you're just doing, and now you're just on autopilot, and you're just doing the autopilot actions, and you're not going that extra mile to get you across that plateau experience. And if we enter into our goals with just going into autopilot, you're not going to have the same impact into your business, if any at all, versus if you were doing it from a place of passion and understanding what is that northern light and what is that why that is ultimately driving you through this business. And this is a subject matter, as mentioned, I mean, it's very much oftentimes not even discussed.
Yeah, I mean, right? Like, yes, you should make more calls and talk to more people. Yes, you should do the other activities that you know. Yes, you should dial in the skills that make you the most money. But if your head is not in the right place, it's just it's not going to work long enough, right? Like you will fatigue. So, yeah, guys, I mean, one main thing that changed everything in my life was just having this morning routine. I know it's cliche, but here I am, one of the most successful agents in the fifth biggest economy in the world, sharing what I do every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And it works. And it works,
It
right?
worked. Yeah, well, not that it
So,
works, it has worked. Here is
yeah.
proof.
Yeah. So listen, guys, I mean, we're entering into the new year. Try something new. I'm sure many of you guys on today's call, this is a process that you guys have never done before. Try it. Start it now. We're still early enough in the day that we can still treat this as one of your first activities for the day. Start it today and
Absolutely.
let's see where it lands. And let's revisit this, a quarter from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, and see what it's done to your lives or to your businesses as entrepreneurs. Suneet, thank you so much for sharing that playbook. I know we had a conversation a few months ago, and I had first heard this from you at that time, and I even started implementing that in my day to
Oh,
day.
no
And I
way.
can see a positive movement in terms of my, where how I've progressed over the time. So thank you so much for sharing that, and hopefully, a lot of you guys will snag that nugget and implement it in your day to day lives. Suneet, we are right about at time here for Real Estate First Friday. So do you have any final words before we wrap up?
Just like Lewis said, it's January 2nd. Don't let this year be a repeat of the same old stuff that you did, right? Make this year the one that you have your breakthrough. Make this year your year. Okay. And it starts with the morning routine and self accountability.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Suneet. Well, hopefully everybody stay safe out there. I know there's still some last few fun activities happening for New Year's here, entering into the first New Year weekend. So stay safe out there, and we'll see you on Motivational Monday this coming Monday.